It's amazing when you stop to think that Jesus was fully God. He wasn't just fully human, but he was also fully God. Something that deserves incredible worship and it invites us to marvel afresh at who our God is. The New Testament clearly affirms the deity of Jesus Christ, that he was God, with direct claims hundreds of times to him being Theos or Kyrios. It shows us he possessed the divine attributes of God: omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent. We see that Jesus was worshipped, and we see that it was a choice that he made to humble himself to come as a human being. Why is it important that we understand this? Why was it necessary for Jesus to come as God and take on human flesh? When we looked at Jesus being fully human, we looked at some of the reasons for this, and it's very similar when we think of the idea of Jesus being fully God. Firstly, only someone who is infinite God could bear the penalty of sin. A human being would be incapable of doing that. Romans 3 verse 10 says, "No one is righteous, not even one." It is not possible for human beings to bear the full penalty of sin. Think how you feel when you do something wrong. When I work with some of my clients at work and they do something wrong, sometimes I see incredible remorse for what they've done. Imagine that being multiplied up for everything that everyone's done for all time, all on one person. The penalty of sin would be too much for any human being to bear. But the Bible also makes very clear that salvation is from God and not from human beings. When Jonah's swallowed by the whale, he comes to a realization in the stomach of the whale, or the big fish to be correct. He comes to this conclusion that only God can save people. And in Ephesians 2 and verse 8, Paul writes to the church in Ephesus, "It is by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." In other words, salvation has to come from God. We cannot save ourselves. So for Jesus to die in our place and to become obedient shows us that salvation is a gift from God for us. But also, when Paul's writing to Timothy, we see at the beginning of his letter in 1 Timothy 2, we see that Paul makes it very clear that there is only one mediator between God and man. Jesus became our mediator to stand in the gap and to mediate with Father on our behalf, to allow us to approach God, to allow us to be reconciled to God, to allow us to have that relationship with God restored. But also, the other thing that we see, and we can look at this when we see Jesus in John 14 verse 9 saying that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Only somebody who was God could reveal God to us. We might experience God, we might see God in creation, we might have an encounter with God, but actually to fully understand who God was, it would take God himself to show us who he is. It's really important for us to realise that Jesus was fully God and fully man, because if Jesus wasn't fully God, then we have no salvation, we have no Christianity. And history shows that over time, groups who deny that Jesus was fully God and fully man actually fall away. They disappear over time. John writes in his letter, "No one who denies the Son has the Father." And he goes on in his second letter to say, "Anyone who doesn't remain true to this doesn't have God." We see with Peter him recognising that to deny Jesus is fully God and fully human is a heresy. And we see John saying the same thing. These disciples who were with Jesus clearly want us to understand that Jesus is fully God and fully man. And this was the plan of God all along to make relationship possible. Maybe today we need to step back and look at the person of Jesus again and realise how amazing it is that this person who really lived, really died, really rose again, was both fully God and fully man, because God loved us that much.